Welcome to another episode of What's the Hype podcast.
The building. And an interception, and you're not down by 10 anymore. Andre Howe, his second interception.
To get you the information that you need when you start your own business and do your own thing.
And I felt like it gave me a good perspective.
I was not the first person to go through what I went through.
So, what was it like to play for legendary Alvin Watt?
Well, Coach Wyatt, man. So, honestly, Coach Wyatt was a hell of a motivator. Like, you could run through a wall. Like, his speeches, like, he was playing with his fingers and be hitting like, speeches, like, I'll pay for him to just come speak at events. Just tell him just kind of like Lil Wayne, just like, hey, tell him what's the subject, what's the beat. Hey, just go in there and just get on the track. Hey, Coach Wyatt, I need a motivation speech for my engineers. This is what I want them to get. Here, just go in there and do your thing. Like, speeches, legendary. Like, but he also taught those life lessons, like little small things about the different, like, put your hand in the bucket. Like, this how fast, like, basically put your finger in the bucket, move it, see how fast that hole closes up. That's how fast I can replace it. So that's kind of like correlating into like life. Like, the world don't care about you. Right? So even if you don't care about yourself, you can just be in it. And the world gonna keep going. Nobody's gonna stop. Bills still gonna be paid. Money still gotta be made. So, man, Coach Wyatt was the man. You know, the high-pitched voice, you know, the dress code he had, the trash talk he used to have with the Norfolk coaches. Like, people didn't like Coach Wyatt. Like, other coaches did not really like Coach Wyatt. They felt like he was, like, you know, better than them. I remember this one time we was at practice. You know, we was on our knees after practice. You know, he talking to us. He loved wearing these gator and snake skin boots, right? And he's standing inside these, like he's standing in an ant pile. And, you know, somebody was like, hey, I think it was Rube. Rube like, hey, coach, you standing in an ant pile. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. These ants ain't gonna do none of these snakes, ants. And he just stood there in the ants with his little gator, his little snake skin boots on. Like, man, this man crazy. But he was a cool dude, man. Like, he was smooth. You know what I'm saying? He'll help you out if he could. You know what I'm saying? But he would tell you straight up, like, hey, coach, you can play for me, coach. Like, he'll tell you quick. Like,
quick. Get his butt out of here. Get his butt out of here. Send him home, coach. I don't even know why he's here. All of that. But no, once you on his good side and once he love you, and man, there's no wrong. You know what I mean? He gonna take care of you. So talk about when it clicked for you, obviously, that you became that guy, right? You became that guy that the offense was built around. Like, when did it click for you and you kind of got that confidence of just like taking over?
It started clicking to me. Well, for me, actually, he actually told me, like, after the classic, after knapsack last game. He pulled me aside, like, you know, all that stuff I was telling you about, it's time, champ. So I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? So he started calling me to the office more, the coaches, you know, going over the board, you know what I'm saying, getting into like the defenses and stuff. Because like I said, like I'm just like, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna learn it. Like, I'm gonna learn stuff I don't even need to know, right? Because my brain is just gonna absorb everything. Like, I'm gonna know what everybody's gonna be doing, right? So, you know, start going to the board, going over the different plays and stuff like that, the different checks. You know what I'm saying? I even got to the point where I'm doing like the tackles, like I'm drawing up the whole defense, like, okay, you know, you got the 3, you got the 1-10, you got the 2 gap over here, you got the 5, 6, 7 technique, you got this, you know, linebacker on his line up here. Like, it was that, like, it started coming to me like science. Like, it's like, oh yeah, this is easy, this math. Like, X's and the O's ain't nothing but math. For me, it's less complicated for me because I see everything. So going into, like, you know, my red shirt, that'll be my red shirt sophomore year. That's when I got like the reins was put on me. The coaches was talking to me more. He was talking to me more, like teaching, like, you know, getting me into like playing the A-back position. You know what I'm saying? So it was a real physical position. You know what I'm saying? I was a physical person coming from where I was from anyway. So that's how like I end up getting into it. That's when I was like, okay, it's my turn. So
yeah, you definitely started to, well, I'll say accepting the cut responsibility. That's the only thing was part of the reason that was holding you back. You just was not really ready for that. Yeah. But once you kind of locked in on that and you knew it kind of came through you, it was over from there.
Yeah.
Well, talk about the Florida Classic and what that game meant to you.
Florida Classic. So, like I said, I know FAMU. You know what I'm saying? It's hometown, you know what I'm saying, home area. So everybody that I know is going to be at the Classic. My classmates, people that graduated before me, older people, everybody from the city, Quincy, Tallahassee, they're going to be at that game, right? And everybody used to always ask me when I come home, Phillip, why you at the Cookman? Why you at the Cookman? Every break. Phillip, why you at Cookman? Like, you know, why you at the Cookman? And actually, Miss Bethune's grandson actually stayed in Quincy. So when I signed, he used to always come, check up on me, God bless his soul. But he used to always come talk to me and stuff like that and ask me about the school, how it's going and stuff like that when I come home from breaks. But, everybody, why you went to Cookman? Why you went to Cookman? So Classic roll around. Like, fast forward after knapsack leave, right? First Classic. I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's time. You know what I'm saying? Everybody talk about the Classic. You know what I'm saying? I've seen the Classic because I was on the sideline, but I didn't play in it. Just come out there. They're like, oh yeah, you come out there, you warming up, and mind you, we go to HBCU, so we don't have like 30 to 90,000 people in the stands every game, right? We only have a handful. But the Classic is like, oh yeah, you have 60, 70,000 people in the stands. You're gonna warm up, and then there's gonna be like a few people in there, but then you're gonna go back in the tunnel. And then when you come out that month, packed, black people everywhere, screaming, hollering, bands playing, like that, right? So, first time I played, first time I started in the Classic, crazy. Chills went down my spine. My daddy, he went to FAMU. Everybody that went to FAMU from Tallahassee. And I end up actually showing out that game, right? I come back, they write an article about me in Tallahassee Democrat. It's like how Tallahassee let their product get away from FAMU in Florida State. They're like, he didn't even go to Alabama or Auburn. He went past FAMU because he wanted to go to an HBCU. It's one in Tallahassee. He even bypassed that to go down to Daytona. How did that happen? So now they was like, oh no, we gotta retain our talent. We can't just let that happen. Right? So it was always good. Came back, everybody like, man, bro, you did your thing. We're like, appreciate it. So that's like, okay, y'all don't get to see me play much, but when y'all see me play, we'll be at the Classic. So
perfect time to turn it up.
Yeah.
So at what point did you realize you had a possibility of playing possibly at the next level?
So believe it or not, I never growing up, professional sports never crossed my mind. Getting a football scholarship didn't even cross my mind, right? Like, I never was the one that's like, I got to make it to the league. I got to do this. I got to do that. My biggest thing was academics. My brain, I was taught, they can't take your brain. Because I know scientifically your brain, your body can't sustain that. Like, I've watched football for a long time, basketball, baseball for a long time. Your body starts to wear, even if you're playing basketball, that hardwood, the knees, them joints, it wears down. Your spine start deteriorating, all that. Like, you putting torque and all this weight and momentum on your, people don't understand the science behind an athlete's body, how much force we actually stopping on the dime, cut here, go there. This is years and years of wear and tear like a car. Eventually it's gonna put you down. So I always had that mindset, academically, I gotta finish up my computer engineering degree here. So I gotta go work for NASA and all this other stuff. Cause that was my thing. I want to work for NASA. So football comes around my junior year. After that, right, I go, scouts start coming to practice. Used to be 2 scouts at practice. And there was this one scout from the New York Giants who's always at practice, tall white guy, right? He always at practice. And I'm like, bro, why are these scouts coming to practice? And it's going to it's senior year now, and all these people here, we ain't got much going on. Corey and them gone, and they're like, oh no, they're here to talk to you. So I'm in classes, right? I'm doing engineering tests, I'm doing labs, and then Baltimore coach, hey, Coach Wyatt called me, hey, can you leave class? Scout from Baltimore, scout from here, want to get you on the board and talk to you. So, I'm like, they come to see me? That's crazy, because now it comes full circle because my mom always told me, when I signed the Cookman, she hearing everybody why he went there, why he didn't go to Auburn, Alabama, right? She was like, listen, scouts get paid to scout. That's their damn job. If they get paid to be a scout, they can find them up in Africa if they had to. They get Australian kickers all the time. They will find you. If you good, they'll find you. So it came back full circle. Just all these scouts was coming to practice, talking to me. going over the board, going over different coverages, different things. I'm going all the way down to like the defensive alignment, linebacker alignment, all that stuff, right? They're like, oh yeah, this dude's smart. Like, what's your degree is? Like, it's computer engineer. I'm actually supposed to be taking the test, but I took that time. So that's when it clicked to me, like, they came to see me. Like, they come in to see me practice and play, I guess. So they're like, oh yeah, you real tough, you fast. You know what I'm saying? We can do stuff with you. Like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I can play a lot of special teams. You know what I'm saying? If I get a chance, I can actually play for y'all. But, I can do everything. Whatever you want me to do, I can play offensive lineman. Whatever you want, I can do it, right? So I think the scouts was more intrigued about how smart I was. Because since I was playing football, I was a student of the game. I'm a student of everything I do. I want to know small stuff, even stuff that ain't got nothing to do with me. Like, I know the defensive tackle, I know the linebacker, I know the receivers, I know the offensive lineman. I know why these assignments are the way they are. I know why the coverages are the way they are, right? So the scouts were intrigued in that. And it was like, yeah, man, we probably can get you know what I'm saying, to play some cornerback in some kickoff return, punt return, kickoff. I'm like, listen, I go out and knock out if you want me to. Like, because I played cornerback in high school and I was better at it, but I wanted to play offense. So that's when it clicked. And unfortunately, my senior year, and I tell people this all the time, like when I got hurt my senior year, it was Norfolk, it was an ESPN game. It was like the first play, it was the first offensive play. It was an out route, a little quick out. Supposed to hit me as soon as I come out the break, right? Before I even come out the break, the ball should be there, right? It's cover two. I see the coverage. I see the cornerback sitting in the flats. Matt Johnson is the quarterback at the time. Sitting in the flats, right? I see him. And, I'm trying to throttle down because if he's sprinting out, he's looking downfield and then he looks at me. I know he ain't been throwing this ball. This cornerback throws it to me, right? I catch it. Left knee gets, my cleat gets stuck in the grass at Norfolk. And the dude, he didn't even hit me hard. He just hit me. He just took my shoulder pad and just lifted me up. And my spike, my cleat got stuck in the grass. My toe got stuck in the grass. And he put it over the outside of it, and I just felt like a little, I was like, oh man, and my whole leg, like it was like a pain. Leg went numb a little bit. And I was like, oh. First thing I thought about was 6. I thought about cord counts in the class. So all his, every ligament in his knee. I was like, oh Lord. I ain't gonna even get a chance to even tell my kid that I had a chance to do the pro day. Because I was like, oh, at least I can do the pro day. Like, even if I don't want to go pro, I still want to have the chance to even do it just to see if I can do it, right? So after that, get hurt, torn meniscus. I tried to come back later in the season, 8th game, A&T had a big knee brace on. Every time I made a little lateral movement from left to right, I feel like my knee just felt like it was giving. Come to find out after the season, meniscus. December, I have my surgery, go home for Christmas break, 6-week recovery. I recovered in 3-4 weeks or whatever. Did all my little rehab and stuff like that. And everybody at Cookman, I'm going to class. Everybody, hey, Philly, you going to do pro day? You going to do pro day? You going to try to go to the league and stuff like that? And they're like, man, I hate it happened to you like that, bro. I wanted to see you, blah, 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 right? And I'm like, well, I graduated this year and, I got some lined up for NASA and, I got some internships lined up that I'm finna go make this money. Because in my head, my feelings wouldn't hurt because my feelings was never really in it. So 2 weeks out from pro day, I start running and stuff. I'm like, you know what? My knee is, my knee good. Let me go out here and run. So I start running, doing my little track workouts, start working out with Coach G, our track coach. He's like, listen, if you fast, your hamstrings didn't deteriorate that fast. You just need to get back into running shape, running form. That other muscle memory gonna come. So I started doing little 100-meter strides on the football field at night and stuff like that. And pro day rolls around. And I ended up signing with knapsack agent, Chris, was his first agent. I don't know if he had him after that, but Chris. I ended up signing with Chris. And he was like, "You gonna do pro day?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I can do pro day. My knee feel pretty good. I might well give it a shot, right?" And funny thing about it, Nick Collins' agent was trying to sign me. So Nick Collins had called me before I signed with Chris. He's like, "Hey man, you know what I'm saying? Talking, trying to tell me what his agent can do for me and all this other stuff." And I ended up going with knapsack agent because it was knapsack. I'm like, I'm more of a knapsack type person because Nick went second round, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't going second round. You know, I got hurt, knee injury, HBCU, ain't happening, right? So pro day comes around, I didn't do the bench. Let me see. I didn't do the vert. All I did was all field drills, lateral, all that. I did everything, 40s, all that. Then they made me run like 50 routes. Like, it was crazy. It felt like I was like on the track field again, like run 20 go routes. We just want to see you open up. Mike Williams out there slanging it. You know, Mike, he's slanging it. I'm like, hey, Mike, man, you know, calm down. Like, that's 5 in a row. He'll make me run 5 goals in a row on the right side. Now I go to the left side. So, you know, they're evaluating the knee, right? Pro day, I feel good. Agent called me like, yeah, I mean, you did good. You did great, blah, blah, blah. You know, so I don't kill it. I'm like, all right, whatever. I did what I had to do. I felt good. My knee good. I can live the rest of my life with a good knee. So at this time, they had the 3 days of the draft, right? Going to my senior exit exams. The second day of the draft, I actually got a phone call, but I was in one of my engineering exit exams, and we had to turn our phones in. We couldn't have them out. Turn my phone off. You know what I'm saying? I got a voicemail from, you know what I'm saying, the what do they call it? They call it the war room, right? So I called the number back. I didn't know who it was. I called it back, and it was the Jets called me, and I got in contact with the receptionist. They were like, oh, yeah, such and such, trying to get in contact with you, just trying to get information about you, right? Well, okay, bet. Well, all right, let me save this number. So I saved it with the NFL, but, you know, the little ringtone. Like, okay, all right, people calling me, I guess. I got more engineering tests to do. Saturday, the last day of the draft happened on a Saturday, and I had to do makeup exam because I had to go talk to a scout, and I missed one of those exams. So I had to go make up an exam on Saturday morning with like 5 other students. Come out of that, I had another missed call. Well, I had 2 missed calls. I'm like, okay, you got Tampa Bay, you got Jacksonville, and you got Baltimore. Well, it was 3. So all these teams are calling, like, oh man, I might can play some balls on that. I don't know, but I don't really care. You know, I ain't gonna get my hopes up and then like that. So I go back to the room, go grab some Bethune Grill. I'm with my boys, Big Low, Solo, you know what I'm saying? And Gucci was there. We in the room, you know, they playing 2K on the Xbox. I'm over there. I ate one wing from Bethune Grill. And the phone, like I saved the Jets number, right, with a ringtone. It called me back. Ecstatic, just went crazy. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I already told Solo them about it. They're like, oh man, you know, they don't pause the game and they watching me get on the phone. You know what I'm saying? It's Schottenheimer, you know what I'm saying, offensive coordinator at the time. You know what I'm saying? Rex and them on the phone, like, hey, you want to play some football? I'm like, yeah. He's like, anybody called you yet? I'm like, yeah, a few teams called me or whatever. And he's like, but do you want to come play with us? Like Rex, like he like real anime. You want to play with us? Let's go. Like, you want me to go today, tomorrow? Like, what are we doing? Like, I'm ready right now. Like, I ain't even eat my Bethune Grill. I just threw that away. Too happy, right? Grandma, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they set up the little flights to the, you know, the rookie training camp the next week. You're like, well, you know, you got to graduate May 7th. So we're going to have to operate around. They're going to fly you out, and they're going to fly you back in, and fly you back out so you come back and stuff. So, you know, call my grandma, talking to her. And my grandma like my best friend. You know, she praying. She don't make me cry and stuff. Because, you know, I ain't thinking about the league. I ain't even thinking about that. So full circle, I told you I've always felt like I was from New York, right? Yeah. I ended up getting undrafted free agent from the New York Jets. So I'm like, because I told God, like in elementary school, like, you know, all I want is simple. I want my own family. That's my only goal. I want a simple life. You know, I want to have, you know, means of life. I want to, you know, I don't care about being rich. I just want to be well off. I just want to be comfortable. I want to be able to raise my kids and have fun with my kids like my dad did with me, right? And God was like, you know what? You do that, you keep my commandments, I can bless you with more than that. So get all these scholarships, you know what I'm saying? All the stuff that I did in Quincy. I could have been like everybody else on the street, like, oh yeah, Phillip was such and such, such and such. But I dodged all those bullets, right? All the stuff that I've been through, where I'm from, the things I've seen, and then just like they call it woke, you know, getting into the culture. I was already there. I was already pro-black, right? So I was always going to do it for the community, and I was going to like carry my community wherever I went unapologetically, right? And God was giving me all these things that I like thought about, But he was like, you know what? I'm gonna bless you with more stuff that you ain't even asked. I ain't asked to go to have an opportunity for that. A lot of my opportunities I got, like I didn't even ask for. Like a lot of people, like, you know, you blessed because you didn't study in college. Like Solomon Bigelow and them always joke with me, like, bro, I never seen you pick up a book to study for these engineering tests, but you still passing. I'm like, well, I seen the professor writing them, and I just regurgitate what he said. I just verbatim. I go see it once and I do one problem, I'm good. I just practice that one time. So God was giving me all these like little blessings, like I'm gonna give you all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because you kept the commandments, and that's why I was, you know, undrafted free agent, you know, and that was that.
So yeah, so you go undrafted, you sign with the New York Jets. What was it like walking to the NFL locker room for the first time?
Man, rookie training camp, walking there, you know what I'm saying, walking to the facilities. You know, so I'm thinking like we in New York, you know what I'm saying? We fly in, they fly us in, I meet the rest of the rookies, you know what I'm saying, from everywhere. You got people, Texas, all these people, right? We go in there, you get all the measurement, you know, all this stuff. And like, oh, we got your helmet size, you got your gloves. So I'm like, wait, how you got that? Like, oh, your trainer, Wyatt sent all your measurements and stuff. I'm like, what? So he's like, they got all that? They called Cookman answered? That's crazy to answer the phone. Like, that's great. Like, I didn't know I was here. Like, nobody said that Phillip was here. Like, outside of my homeboys, like, they put it on Facebook and Twitter at the time. But Cookman never said, oh, you know, Phillip was got, you know, nothing was told about this thing, right? So I'm like, oh, man, they know about that. All right, that's that. So I'm walking in there, you know, walking through the training facility. The first person I met was Mark Sanchez. He was in there. He was getting some kind of protein shakes at the time. He was in there climbing around, right? He's drinking protein shakes. He's just in the facility. That was the first person I met. I ended up taking a picture with him before we went out to do our little rookie training camp stuff. So just walking in is like huge facility, and we in Jersey. I'm like, bro, I thought we was in New York. They're like, nah, the facility actually in Newark, New Jersey, across the bridge, right? I'm like, okay, that's a bet. So, you know, go out there, you got the practice fields, you got like 4 practice fields, 2 turf, 1 indo. I'm like, man, like, what we practicing at? Like, which one of these fields we practice at? Like, you know, offense on this one, defense on that one, special team. Like, how we do this? Like, I'm asking all the questions. I'm trying to go see all the coaches. So, you know, I'm walking through the facility and stuff like that. Awesome experience, bro. Like, something I can tell my kids, like, I've experienced that too. Like,
I mean, you're talking about the Jets at that time with Danian Tomlinson, Mark Sanchez, Jalen Edwards, Antonio Holmes. I mean, you're talking about some of the.
You can't forget about Revis Island.
Revis.
Forget about the man that just changed the game. Like, put all the receivers on his island and made a whole commercial about it. Can't forget that.
Can't forget about that. So yeah, having the opportunity just to kind of see that, man, I can just imagine just the experience for you to be able to be in that space and to see all that stuff coming from where you know, obviously where you came from, being at Bethune-Cookman.
Grown man playing football. It was amazing to me. I'm like, bro, these grown men out here playing sandlot football that I grew up doing with pads professionally, and they get paid for it. And you know, you see them, you know, their wife either come pick them up or they drive off in their car by themselves and go home, do it again. Or their kids come, take them, pick them up, like, oh, we got the kids. And you know, just seeing these grown people just like these are humans, bro. Like they're at work. This is work. It's not, it's beyond fun now. It's like, it's a job. These people trying to eat, they trying to put food on the table. And me, it was just like, I'm a country guy. I just want to experience. I don't care about nothing else. Like, I'm just out here to compete, have fun. And you know, they're like, bro, like, calm down. Like, calm down, slow it down, bro. Like, pace yourself. Pace yourself. You don't want to get like fired the like first time. Like you can't do that. You can't hit this person. You can't do that. You can't be that physical. Like, because I was doing cornerback, receiver, punt return. I was doing all the things. Like, I'm like, I do everything. So it was a good experience for me. Like, I didn't expect. The thing was, I didn't expect nothing. So that what made it all the more merrier for me because I didn't expect nothing.
So talk about how, you know, your NFL career, ultimately how that all came to an end, and just, you know, was that devastating for you at all?
Nah, it was the same knee. You know what I'm saying? Same knee. Wasn't devastating because, like I said, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't expect to go to the league. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect to even get the, you know what I'm saying, the opportunity to even walk into a facility outside of going to a football game to just watch football from the like, understand like normal people. And I got that chance to meet, Revis and all these boys, at practice and watching them do like basically hone their craft, kind of like how I hone my craft as an engineer. Like they're in it, like watching them, like the intricate detail that they going through, the film study, all the time that they put into it. Like it was an awesome experience. It wasn't devastating the least on my part because I knew mentally what I was geared for. Like I was geared for engineering. That's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to like create software. I wanted to do that kind of stuff. I wanted to like reach out to different kids. Like, it's like, hey, I know, I know you athletic, but have you ever thought about using your brain? You can do both. Like, what if you unlock your brain first? Because that pro stuff and that college stuff come after you unlock your brain. If you unlock your brain, you're already there. But now you're in college, you got more resources. Now your physical body gonna take you where you go. You're competing against all the like my big thing is like you're gonna compete against hundreds of thousands of black kids in America, plus the white kids. You compete against all of them, not just your local people. You compete against all the big people. And to get to the league is like 2%. You get there is a blessing in itself. Staying there is a privilege and a blessing. So one thing they can't take away is what you got in your brain and where you want to go. Like, because your physical body, even when you get there, it can be taken away like that at any given time. It can be like this, like I said, so it's a business. Like it's not you going like outside to play with your friends no more. It's you ain't no good to me with a bad knee. I can't, you ain't no good to me with a bad neck or bad foot. You know what I'm saying? We can cut you. You're disposable. You're not a first round draft, first through 3. You're gone. So just that alone was like enough for me. And devastation, nah, more of a blessing, more of a opportunity, more of a privilege for me. So
man, that's what's up, bro. I wish I would talk to you when I was a little bit younger, man, because I went to the NFL. Like that's all I had in my mind. I'm going to the NFL. I'm going to the NFL. Like I didn't think about school. I went to a good school, but I ain't really care about school like that. I remember getting in the NFL. Like that was my biggest dream, getting in the NFL. But right. I wish I would took more like you took it. Like I'm going to the NFL, but I'm gonna do my schoolwork too. Like I'm gonna learn about like real life stuff. Because now I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do? Like I retired. What I'm gonna do now? Like, I don't know what to do now. Like I never really thought about when I was a kid. Like when I was in college, like, I was thinking about NFL the whole time. Like I never really put myself like to do anything more because I was like too focused on the NFL. So like now I'm behind. Now I'm trying to figure out what's next for me.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I try to do with the little kids now. Like when I go back, a couple of my classmates, like Betty, all of my like classmates from back at home, Tallahassee, Quincy, they invite me to their schools, or principals, teachers invite me to the school to talk to the elementary kids, middle school kids, high school kids, even my friends now. Like, hey, I know some high school kids, that need tutoring, or I got some high school kids that like they're smart, but they don't know what they want to do, but they're great with like basketball and football, right? Like even here in Georgia, like when I go work out, like I go out there with the kids from the Keaching High School, South Cobb, and all these places. And they out there working. They out there working hard. I'm like, I go out there and work out with them and stuff. And I give them a little tidbit information about football. But the first thing I ask them, like, well, how you doing in school?
Yeah.
And like, where you trying to go? Like, for instance, my homeboy, and one of the people I looked up to, Dakota Fad, like he couldn't go straight to Florida State because his grades wasn't there. So he had to go to a JUCO to get his grades and then go back to Florida State, right? So that kind of stuff is like devastating for a kid. You go from a black place and you go to a PWI in which now you're in a community that you don't even know about. Like you got to know, like you don't even know how to move around these people that you've never been around like that. But you're playing this sport. But when you get to this sport, now you got to juggle playing football. You got to juggle school. And now NCAA say, hey, you got to have a 2.0 or 2.5 to stay on the field, and to be eligible, you got to have 8 hours at least, or 12 hours for a full-time student. You got to pass at least 8 of them or something like that. Mm-hmm. There's rules and regulations around it, and that's like kind of like a disadvantage of a kid that's just like, I just want to play ball, right? So it's like a yin and yang type thing. And if they discover what they want to do early on after the career is over, because it's going to be over, it's going to end. You need to be mentally equipped with some people have like that downfall of like, I used to be all the way up here, and then they don't know how to cope with being a normal person.
Yeah.
Right? So now you're not making the money, and two, nobody cares about you no more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you was super famous, but even then, that popularity is going to start going by the wayside unless you continue to do something like Brandon Marshall or something like that to keep yourself relevant, or you on ESPN, First Taking, all these different platforms.
Yeah.
You got right now on this podcast, like, to keep yourself out there. You know what I'm saying? So just having that idea of who you are as a person, like you're more than like I say, you're more than an athlete. Like LeBron them say, you're more than just an athlete. Like, and that's one of them things when he came out with that, like, that's what I've been telling kids all this time. Like, you're more than just what they see on TV. They only see us as a product. They don't see us as the mind drivers, the innovative people that create these different apps and these different cars or different like anything, these like mind-blowing businesses and stuff like that. Like, they don't see us as that. They see us as entertainers in all realms, whether it's sports or music. Like, that's what they see us as. So you just gotta break the mold, change the ideas, everything, right?
Exactly. So talk about the transition to corporate America and what that journey has been like for you.
Corporate America, man. So my first job, I was actually a contractor for Sony Music. Shout out to Sony Music, up in Atlanta, right? And I'm pro-black. I'm unapologetically pro-black. Like, I'm always gonna uplift my people before anything. You know, have nothing against everybody else, but you know, we are treated a certain way. So come to Atlanta as my first job as a contractor for Sony Music as a software engineer. You know, you working with a different culture of people, right? Put it that way. I'm thinking like, okay, at Cookman as an engineer, I'm not competing with my people at Cookman to get like the highest, you know, graduation, GPA, and all this other stuff. I'm competing against the Dukes, the Ivy Leagues, the Asians, the Indians, because I'm in the engineering field. America isn't built from America as engineers. We're built from India, China, and all these other places, right? That's where like you get the Silicon Valleys and all this other stuff, and you know, out west with the Googles and all this other stuff. So having that mindset, you coming in and you working with a bunch of Indians from different like Tamil and MD and all these different places, you know, the dialects, you know what I'm saying? Like, you trying to like understand what they're saying type stuff. And like, they're super smart. And what they're doing, where they're from, is like what we do for like in our communities for sports. Like, they're groomed to be upper echelon scientists type. They're groomed to be doctors, engineers, like higher level type stuff. And they're learning multiple languages as they're going through school. So when they go to college, they're learning English in their college. So when they come to America, they know Hindi. They know their state language, which is a whole different language from the national language. Then they learn English coming into their 4 year of schooling, right? So they're coming out with a huge disadvantage, right? So I transitioned over to as a software engineer, and I'm bombarded with a different culture. And I'm thinking it's predominantly white, and no, it's like white people are like the minority, just like the black people. Black people just happen to be the smallest minority in this field, right? So transition to that, and like, okay, made some good friends, great contacts with that. But then after I did that and went Blue Cross Blue Shield, I worked on a few projects, worked on the Watson AI up in Connecticut. You probably seen a couple of commercials about the Watson IBM machine, artificial intelligence that everybody trying to use. I worked on some of that code. Then after I did like a year and a half after football, oh yeah, I'm ready to put my foot down, because my thing was that I told God, like, I want to have my own family. Like, I want to have my own kids. I want to teach them all this stuff. I got a vast amount of stuff I'm putting into all these other kids. I need to put it into my own. So that's when I I left contracting, and literally I was leaving Connecticut. Called my contracting firm. Hey, send another contract up here to replace me on the Watson project. I'm going home to Quincy because I ain't been there in a while. I'm gonna go hang out with my people. I'm thinking I'm gonna be with them about 4 months, something like that. Literally, from Connecticut to New York is about a little bit over an hour drive, maybe less. I'm going through New York City. I'm driving back to Florida, right? Because I got to move all my stuff. I'm driving all my stuff out to Florida. It's like a 19, 20-hour ride. I'm going straight there. I'm going through New York, right? The place that I always said I was supposed to be from, right? I'm literally going across the bridge, paying my little toll, right? Going to Florida. I get a call from a recruiter from Home Depot, right? Mind you, I haven't updated my resume since before I took this contracting gig. So I haven't even put my contracting stuff on my resume yet, right? So I'm literally driving. Get a call from Leah. That's her name. She called me. She don't work at Home Depot no more, but she left. But she called me. Hey, Phillip, seen your resume on LinkedIn. We think your skill set, you got a degree background. We think you're a good fit for these two positions that's open at Home Depot as a software engineer. I'm like, all right, well, I just left this contracting job. I got about 15 hours before I get to Quincy. You know what I'm saying? So let me update my resume when I get home. I'll get it to you on Friday, which was the next day. She's like, okay, fine. I go home, update my resume, send it to him. I go to one of my best friends' class. All of them, they just want me to come to class. They want me to come there, talk to them, and they just want me to be there, tutoring them in math, science, and all this other stuff, right? And mind you, I don't put my resume in. As soon as I put my resume in, they got my all that stuff. They called me in like 2 weeks, like, oh, well, they want to set up interviews with you. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So you got finance IT and the .com team. All right, that's fine. Let's do it. You know, do it, blow it out of the water. They love me. A couple days later, Leo called me. I don't know what you told them, but both, you know, they got offer letters for both the teams. You just got to pick which team you want to work on, right? After I came to Atlanta, I done did my face-to-face. It's like a panel interview, like 5 of them. Like they just pop, all these like smart people questions. Go up here and, you know, do these architecture diagrams for this. I'm like, that, you know, I'm like, I'm at them playing football. I'm doing my little box, my little lines. You know what I'm saying? You call this was just, like, I'm out here, you know, doing my thing, right? They offer me, you know, I'm home for at least a month, like probably a month, not even a month. Next thing you know, Home Depot like, hey, when you want to start? I'm like, well, what's the earliest I can start? They're like, well, the earliest is December 28th. Bam. 7 years later, I'm at Home Depot.
Man, that's such an amazing story, and just again, not surprised by what you do because, you know, that's how you carry yourself. But just the opportunity to kind of be in a space that's not really dominated by our people, especially coming from our universities. Just talk about how you was able to influence change once you got to Home Depot, and then, you know, end up being like a lead, and then, you know, being able to recruit HBCUs. Talk about that.
Yeah, man. So when I first got to Home Depot, it was different because when I first went to Home Depot, I was like, Home Depot, IT, that makes no sense. Right. And then I thought about it, like, of course, they got websites, they got integration. You go to the store, they got the POS systems and all this other stuff. They gotta have an IT company, they gotta have an IT piece to all this stuff. So I go there and I'm like, man, it's 4 buildings, huge corporate, like Home Depot, one of the Fortune 500, top 30 in the nation. I don't know none of this until I get there, right? $1 billion company. I don't even know, but Home Depot, great company to work for, work-life balance, amazing, right? Get there. Manager, I hit him up. I'm like, hey, my school does this science symposium area for homecoming, and, you know, this would be a great opportunity for me to go down there and just, like, you know, shoot the stuff about Home Depot, about what we doing in IT over here at Home Depot, recruit, right? You're like, oh yeah, you know, make sure you go down there and you recruit some people for us. So here's the website for the internships and all this other stuff. So I go down, I go to Cookman, and that's where most of my mentees come from. So I go down there and I speak to them at the symposium. I'm telling them about, like, hey, all this stuff that Mr. B teaching you about programming, you need that. That's the foundation, because outside of that, you don't have any core, right? So I get them my personal number, my work phone number, my email. I'm telling, like, as soon as I give them that, I'm at work. They call me, hey, Mr. Kirkland, I need help with this program. I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like doing my work, helping them out with homework, doing little conference calls with them. And then that's how I get on the advisory board with Dr. Thompson, which is Lynn Thompson's brother. Mm-hmm. So end up calling me like, hey man, we need you on the board. You know what I'm saying? You've been out here, you know, you're doing some good stuff. We'd like to have you here so we can like get more influence with people that's out in the field that know what corporate America is looking for. So I income me and I meet with the professors. Every time I go to Cookman, my first thing, I call the professors. You know, I go to the individual class, I sit in, they have me like lecture. Like it's funny because they have me lecture the classes, like just take over the class.
Wow.
Just present and do this, right? And they're like looking at me, he didn't go to Cookman. You know, oh yeah, he played sports too. He ran track and he played football. No,
They really blow their
he's
mind.
actually the captain of the football team. Nah, this man talk like a nerd, right? So we out there, you know, I'm recruiting them. And, you know, last year, we finally, because I always used to ping my managers and the director, like, hey, how can I get my Bridge the Gap program implemented? And they're like, yeah, you gotta go through this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So last year, the big thing about the HBCU started going crazy. Like black, you know, pro-black stuff, all the companies getting behind black efforts and stuff like that. Home Depot, not too far behind, because now we don't have a whole town hall meeting with the CEO of the company. And he having the whole thing about what's happening with Black America. And he's like being frank, he's been up front, and it's like thousands of people that's employed at corporate. And we logged on watching him talk about this thing. And he's like, hey, how can we do better in the black community? I'm like, shit, ball game. Get some people from that went to Tennessee State, FAMU, you know, because we've been talking about this for a long time, and they finally give us the reins and say, hey, y'all go do that because we don't know how to do that. And y'all got the contacts at y'all schools because these, like Home Depot has like a whole IT Orange Works, that's what they call it at Georgia Tech, and we recruit directly from Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech is straight IT, smart people, straight Asians, Indians. That's it. You don't go there unless you're playing football and you're going there for science stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I want that at Cookman. Like, that's what I want. I want that at the HBCUs, right? And Home Depot is like, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to recruit from HBCUs. We're going to actually go down to your schools and we're going to do tech talks, demos, and each one of y'all that head y'all school will give y'all resources. So I got like a senior director, senior manager, managers, and senior software engineers that's directed under me when I go to Cookman to do tech talks or virtual demos to say, hey, look at this new technology that we're doing. We wrote this blockchain app that does this, that, and the third, just exposing them to this kind of stuff, right? And get with like the professors, and I like huddle them up like, hey, this is what they're looking for in the industry coming out of school. Like, so I go back to Cookman, and now they implementing like small teams and how, like, you know, building servers and pushing code to the cloud and all this other stuff. Like, this is what we need. This is what they need to know, right? So I'm giving them like the ins or out. Like, I'm showing them the code while I'm working at work. Like, you know, this is what I'm doing, right? So that's how I end up being an influence to not only like just Cookman, I also do it with other HBCUs, high school, middle schools. I challenge the kids all the time, like, you know, what's one thing that kids always got on them that you can't take from them? They ain't got no money. They got a cell phone in their pocket. They got a cell phone from almost 4 years old, and they're in a tablet all day. Guess what? I can teach you how to code them apps that you over there playing with right now. You can be that same kid that made these millions of dollars for that one, this little game that they made. Some little simple game, you make a couple $1 million, but guess what? You got your foot in there. You got a resume. Yeah. So ultimately, like, I want like to have like communities of like even down where you from, like after school programs where they can teach kids from elementary school to build apps. Like, they have places like that in California now that's spinning up since the black stuff has been coming up, like, you know, trying to get the black community where it needs to be, right? So everybody's getting behind it. You know what I'm saying? Home Depot finally got behind it, and I appreciate them for it. And that's where we at with it.
Man, there's a lot of stuff going on with STEM, man. There's a lot of stuff going on with technology. They're putting a lot of money into just building it up. And that's one thing definitely for like my son. I want to make sure that he is, because I mean, he just turned 4, but he's already working a cell phone, man. You can't, you get him phone, he navigate everything on his own.
Get him one of the little small programming computer. They make the little computer for the kids now. It's like 5 to 6 or something like that. I'm like, man, I wish they had that for me. I had a typewriter. Dial up, you know what I'm saying? I ain't have nothing. Ask Jeeves, like, I ain't have Google and all that. So
I'll definitely be hitting you up on that. But as we close out on this, I just wanted to talk about your dad, obviously what he means for the sports community in Quincy, and also your relationship with FAMU's head coach, Willie Simmons. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, man. So my daddy, man, they call him Hollywood in Quincy. Like Hollywood, they call him a cool dude. My daddy has been intricate in the neighborhood for a long time. Like I said, my daddy, like we had this long blue church van that he used to go pick up all, like he bought it specifically for picking up the kids that didn't have transportation to like practices and stuff. So we going to Sawdust, which is like maybe 15 miles this way, and then coming back to grab it. We picking like a bus. You know what I'm saying? And I don't build like different bonds with these kids too. And I'm younger than them. So I'm building bonds with them. They know me as Coach Larry's son, Coach Hollywood's son. So growing up, I always had those guys to take care of me as I was growing up. So my dad, like everybody knows, like, he, coaching, like that's his thing. Like he loves kids. Like we almost like adopted like almost 100 kids. Like my best friend and my god brother actually stayed with us for like 3-4 years in my house. Like we didn't have a big house, but brought them in. They stayed with us. Like kids that he used to coach, all they wanted to do is come to our house on the weekends. Coach Larry, Coach Hollywood. He's gonna go hunt, eat some squirrels, eat some fish. You know what I'm saying? Chill out with Phillip and play the game. So I was known as we had a little we had like a little outdoor shed where I set up the game and we just out there playing Mortal Kombat 2 and all this other stuff. Like, my house was known as the fun house because my daddy was super cool. All the kids want to come over there, right? So with that, my daddy done coached a whole bunch of people. Dexter Jackson, you know what I'm saying? Super Bowl MVP for the Bucks. You know what I'm saying? Him coming down, in the escalator, after he won the Super Bowl, like, drove it down to the house, like, hey, it's my car and all this other stuff. So he still talked to him a lot. You know what I'm saying? Just my daddy just coaching different people. You know what I'm saying? And also like the relationship that I have with Willie Simmons. Like I said, he was the first person that played sports that I knew that was smart. That was black. Let me put that out there. And he also played quarterback, right? Because quarterbacks are always known as smart guys too. But when they refer to like our black athletes that are quarterbacks today, they don't talk about that. They talk about athleticism of that quarterback. Like Lamar Jackson, they never said like, oh, he graduated in 2 years and he has a 3.8 GPA. And all. They never talked about his intelligence. But Ray, and we call him Ray from where I'm from. So he's from Charlotte. He's literally from around the road from where I'm from. So 8th grade, I'll never forget it. We're in the auditorium. He comes back, and this is because Ray was a big time recruit. He ended up going to Clemson as a quarterback, right? And he graduated from high school early too. And he did dual enrollment, so he was getting he got 2 years ahead of the game before he even stepped foot on campus. So he comes back to talk to us, right? And I don't know nothing about football scholarships and all this other stuff. I just know that the man's smart. He comes, he tells us that, oh yeah, football scholarship to Clemson, and at the time Clemson went where they are today, but it's a big school. And he's playing quarterback. He's from Quincy. He had a 3.8 GPA or something like that. I was like, oh, he's smart. And he played sports. And he was cool. Like everybody knew Ray. Like everybody, like he was like had to be the coolest nigga. Well, I almost said N-word. He had to be the coolest guy, like at his time, like at school. Like, what I'm saying? Good looking guy. I'm like, I bet he got all the girls. And he's smart. And he asked me, man, he balling. Like I need to be like him. Like that's the first black guy that plays sports that I knew that like that's the mold. That's the mold that I'm looking for. That's the mold for all of our athletes. Because we all got it. You just gotta apply more time to it, like you do to the sport. So having him and seeing him do what he did, and like that's my mentor. That's my guy. And graduating, I think he still has the record for graduating from Clemson. I think he graduated like in almost a year and a half, 2 years, or something like that. So he graduated super fast. So he got in there, he was out of there. And now he's going with FAMU. Like he came back because he was at Prairie View for a minute. And then he ended up coming to FAM, and I'm like, oh man, my mentor is back, and he bring his friend with him, Alex Jackson, that signed with Georgia when they played football together. He played with the University of Georgia as an offensive tackle. So they come to FAMU together, and they like, oh yeah, we're gonna turn this thing into a family, and we bring it back home. And I'm like, I'm a Cookman guy, but FAMU, I mean, that's my mentor. I told him straight up when I go out there and talk to his wife and talk to him at practices. I'm like, hey man, I hope y'all win all y'all games. You get to class, I don't care what you do. You got to lose the game. Whatever you want to do, but you get there for the match, you got to lose. So just having him there, like what he's doing in the community now, especially at the time with what Dion is doing. Now he's in the SWAC with Dion. They lost a tough first game, and after that, they just went on a tear. Like FAMU just went crazy. And I went like 4 of their games or whatever and watching them play. Like, I know the players and stuff like that. I'm like, oh man, he's doing a good job. 3rd year, and he's like getting better and better and better. Like he could have had 2 MEAC championships, but he couldn't beat the Wildcats. But yeah, what he's doing like is amazing. And I don't foresee him being there as long as people think he may be there, because he's a coach at heart. He admit that he struggled with what to do after football, right? When he was in college, when he got his degree, he talked about that on one of the podcasts that he was on, that he struggled with after football. Like he didn't know what he wanted to do. He didn't know if he wanted to coach. He just became an educator, and then he got the opportunity to become a coach. And that's when he's like, that's what I need to do. And that's what he's doing. And he's doing a hell of a job now. So shout out to Ray, shout out to my daddy.
No doubt. I've been watching them closely, and they've been having a lot of success, man. And I'm rooting for them, man. They're gonna have definitely a few guys get drafted, get an NFL opportunity, man. So they're doing a heck of a job. But listen, man, Phillip, we appreciate you for being on, man, sharing all of your insight.
Appreciate y'all.
It's been amazing. I think this is really going to be valuable for those that are younger and can really start to think about opportunities like this. And that's the goal for us, man. Dre, you got anything for him?
Man, it's just a blessing to talk to you, bro, because I'm kind of going through that right now. Like, what I'm doing after football, I retired now, so I'm like, what's next for me? Like, I never had it. Like, when I was a kid, like, I want to go in the NFL. Like, if I want to do make the NFL, but I never thought about what's after the NFL. Like, I never really thought about what's next. So now going through that right now, trying to figure out what's next for me. Like, that's what I'm going through now. But talking to you really helped me, like, kind of figure out what's next for me now. So I'm thank you for being on the show, bro. I really appreciate you, bro.
Oh, no problem, man. That's what it's all about, man. Like I always tell people, like, in order for you to do anything in life, and I tell the kids, like, you got to understand, you need to learn yourself first.
Yeah.
Don't let something define you. The sport doesn't define you.
Exactly.
Your academics don't define you. Your spirit defines you.
Yeah.
Everything else is just tools to get to a means to an end. So,
Yeah, appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Definitely. Thank you, bro. For real.
No problem, boss.
Absolutely. So again, man, appreciate it, my brother. We wish you nothing but the best, and we know that you're gonna continue to do those great things, man. So much love. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it.